Hi, I'm glad to be a part of Global Creative Woman Award organized by a Global Trainer Academy. I'm Rasha Ahmed Hamed Abuaisha, a science teacher from Palestine, from a city called Nablus. I have been working as a teacher since 2008. I believe that I born to be a teacher. I believe that little changes will lead to a big change. So, any development in my students' learning will lead to a development in my society. As you know, my country, Palestine, is occupied, and the key to get our freedom is to produce educated students that have some skills to lead them to be good citizens and to get our freedom. As a science teacher, I believe that I should teach science for life and to relate it to the students' reality, to solve their problems and to explain things that surround them. To achieve this, I used various strategies. One of them is learning by doing, which include many methods such as problem solving, learning by experiments, learning by projects, learning by cooperative groups. I want to provide my students with some skills while they're learning science, such as strong personality, communication and leadership skills. During Corona pandemic, we moved from our classroom to distance learning, and this was hard for me as a teacher and for my students. I decided to learn more and took many courses that enabled me to learn about how to use some platforms to educate my students. At this point, I learned with my students and created community of knowledge. The idea of community of knowledge based on dividing students into groups that lead self-learning. After my online class, in which I used many games and simulations to learn in a better way, I set a task for my students. In every group, each student will have a role, and they start to search for information, collecting them and organizing them under my guidance and presenting it to other students and discussing it together. After learning science by this way, my students acquired some skills and they start to use technology tools in a useful way for their lives. I learned a lot from my students and I feel proud. I dream of spreading what I have learned to others and to improve my students or other students' learning, to be a good example for my students and my colleagues to challenge difficulties. Despite my suffering from visual problems, but this will never stop me from being a good teacher and to be a creative one. Thank you for listening to me. Goodbye.